longer than I thought it was. The next three, multiplying, simplify your answer as much as possible. So we found out on the previous ones you can cancel out your common factors that you have between the top and the bottom, but the first thing you need to do is factor out the tops and the bottoms so that you can cancel. So on the top of this fraction, it doesn't have any squareds, it doesn't have any greatest common factors. I can't do anything with that x minus 1, I'm just going to leave it alone. On the bottom of my first fraction, I do have that quadratic expression that I can factor out by FOILing, putting my two sets of parentheses. Factors of x squared, x and x. The m sign is a negative, so we know we have 1 plus and 1 minus. We want the factors of 6 that when we plug them in, it adds up to the negative 1 in the middle. So we would use what for our factors?
2 and 3.
2 and 3. Plus 2 and minus 3 add up to the minus 1 in the middle. On the top of the second fraction, doesn't have the squared, but it does have a greatest common factor of 4. So I'm going to take the 4, put it in front, and divide each of those by 4. 4x divided by 4 gives me an x, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. The bottom of that second fraction doesn't have a square, doesn't have a greatest common factor, can't do anything with it, so I just leave it as x minus 2. Once I have it in factored form, I look to see, do I have any common factors that one is on the top and one is on the bottom? In this case, I only have one pair, the x plus 2. So I can get rid of the x plus 2. And so when I write my answer, normally they'll put any lone numbers out in front, so they'll put the 4 times the x minus 1 on top. On the bottom, we have both an x minus 3 and an x minus 2. And since those are binomials, we've got to put them in parentheses. And so my answer would look like that. So number 14, same kind of thing. The x minus 2, I can't do any factoring on, so I'm going to leave it as x minus 2. On the bottom part, 3x plus 3, I can divide both of those by 3, and I'd have 3 times x plus 1. I divide both those by 3. Top of the second fraction, we know that one came from FOILing something else, so if we factor that, we know we have x and x. My signs, both positive. Since the end is positive, they're both the same as the middle, but if they're all pluses, they're going to be pluses. Factors of 2 that add up to 3. 2 and 1. On the bottom, again, we have that quadratic expression, factoring x and x. This time my signs are a positive and a negative, and we want the factors of 6 that give us a plus 1 in the middle.
2 and 3.
And I want which one by the plus?
3.
The 3. Plus 3 and minus 2. Positive 3 minus 2 is a positive 1. So, what can we cancel out of there?
X minus 2.
We can take out the x minus 2, and we can also do
X plus 1.
an x plus 1. And so on the top, we're left with an x plus 2. Don't need the parentheses since it's not times anything else. On the bottom, we have a 3 times an x plus 3. And there would be our answer, as simplified as much as we can. So number 15, same kind of thing. If I'm going to factor the top of that fraction, how does that factor? I like 6 today.
X and then there's going to be a plus and minus.
XX plus and a minus. Plus 3 and a minus 2. 3 minus 2 is the 1x in the middle. Bottom of that first fraction, can't do anything with that. It doesn't have a squared and it doesn't have a greatest common factor. However, the top of the next fraction, we can factor that. What can we do with that? 4 times x plus 1. Factoring out the greatest common factor of 4. And the bottom of that second fraction is a quadratic one, so we know we got our 2 sets of parentheses. It happens to be the difference of perfect squares. How does that factor? X what? Plus and a minus, yep. X plus and x minus 3 and 3, right? Positive 3 and a negative 3 is the 0 x's that we have in the middle. So on this one, we can cancel out x plus 3 and x plus 1. So our answer, 4 times x minus 2 over x minus 3. And then the last 3 on this page have to do with dividing